Hello and welcome to this episode of the Swacecast. We're starting this in a slightly weird position because the camera mount has fallen on the floor and for some reason isn't sticking to the window today. I've just been out recording a video for handily support. Sarah's sleeping off night shift, I need something to do. Therein is the ye old problem of someone who works night shifts and someone who works day shifts all the time. Well, I don't work day shifts, I just work a normal 9 to 5. Anyway, it's Good Friday on the day of recording this. Hope everyone has a good long Easter weekend, and if those of you who are working it, I salute you, or I've saluted you. I wish you luck. I will avoid trying to do any shopping out of a matter of respect. Weather's meant to turn crap here shortly, so shall we go for a drive? A little bit of shooting star. The lyrics are fantastic. Although, even though that's Bad Company doing that version, not going to lie, because I listened to the original... the first time I heard the song, it was Queen and Paul Rodgers live in Krakow. The Cosmos Rockin' live thing that they did. I prefer that version, and the Lexington Lab Band version. But that's just me. Mind you, the original studio album version is very, very nice. So we're going for a little bit of a toodle around. We'll do a Swacecast. As mentioned, Sarah's sleeping off a night shift, and I need something to do for a bit. So, we'll drive. So what's changed? Well, I did the Civic review video. You're going to probably hear my tripod go banging around. I haven't secured it in on my camera bag. And I've got my sunnies on. It might not look that sunny, but my normal glasses have got reactor lights in and some anti-glare stuff on, which makes driving in daylight quite easy. Contact lenses don't have that. So the Civic review went up the other day. It's currently got about 54, 55 views. Not bad, I guess, because I didn't really shout about it anywhere. Still liking the Civic. I've been driving the Swace for a few days recently. The window rattle is pissing me off. Sarah says she can't hear it, but I can. Now, she'll often complain with my misophonia that she thinks I can hear things or I'm having audio hallucinations. But when the window's down and you knock on the glass when it's parked down, you can hear sort of I can only describe it as like an extra chink that shouldn't be there, as in the noise chink. It shouldn't make that noise at all. And Suzuki, I need to call them again because I've not actually heard anything back about it, and I don't want to keep going back in again and again and again. But I think Suzuki, like a lot of Japanese companies, are not very good at admitting when there's a fault. But that is a common problem apparently with Japanese companies. It's very hard to get them to admit that they've made a fault, even if they clearly are the ones at fault. I'm not saying Suzuki clearly are, but it's less than ideal. The bits they receive from Toyota aren't meshing together very well, I suppose you could say. I've got to be honest, just talking in the wider situation of everything at the moment. What the hell is going on with this world? I've not exactly been pro-American, but I've never been exactly anti-American either. But what the hell, man? This is just... There's batshit crazy, and there's batshit crazy, and then there's whatever the hell is currently going on. I can't work out in my head what is happening. And And I'm concerned. I've got a friend who lives in America, Brit. He's disabled and taught me everything I know about computers and more. I've known him since sixth form. He and I have a mutual weirdness that we just seem to get. He and I have just clicked in many ways. So I've known him nearly half my life now. And I'm worried that he's going to just get bounced back across the pond, even though he's been over there for years. I'm just really worried that he's going to find himself back over here, not on his terms, or worse, as in not even should have been looking at the sign for standing field there. Potentially, hopefully not, but potentially shipped off to El Salvador if deemed such. But he's always been quite pro-American, not necessarily the whole gun-toting, whoa! But if you're watching this, Liam, hope you're doing well at the moment. And no, I am concerned about what's going on for you, buddy. Now, to move this on, because we're not going to talk politics the entire time. What else have I been up to? I've been watching lots of stuff on YouTube, lots of different car stuff, typically round and round in circles on the same few sort of channels. Auto Alex relaunch, been fantastic. Videos are back up to par on quality. Lots more of the interaction between All the Gear and Top Dead Centre. Continue to watch those two channels as well. Fantastic YouTube channels, people that I like, and I'd like to think that I'd get on with them if I ever got the opportunity to work with them or meet them in person. There's a new channel, TaylorMade Cars, come up, which again I'd like to watch some of, but given the whole scandal that happened with the Auto Alex multiverse, not 100% sure I'm ready to give Taylor a try. But in the couple of videos he's been in, he's been alright, so who knows. Sorry, this road, I don't come down this road very often, but I've just seen that there's a pothole right where you would put your foot down to pull out, which is a concern. I just hope I don't hit it or don't accidentally spin up, because that might be the end. I had a problem with this Honda the other day, actually. It's very uncommon you'll hear someone say I've had a problem with a Honda. So it came up saying the tyre pressures had dropped. And I was taking Mum to... where were we going? Anglesey Abbey. We're going there for the day. She likes the history. I was going to go there because it's not too far away. Nice National Trust place to visit, and just a nice place to go for a walk and get some nice pictures, which I've got some I want to get off my camera when I get back. But part way there, drove to Thetford, not a problem. Had to drive the long way. Then the tyre pressure light came on. The last time a tyre pressure light came on one of my cars, or at least in a weird place, should I say, where it came on, that was the Baleno, where it suddenly came on the A19, and it turned out I had a puncture, driven over a shard of metal. And I drove that car home on a flat tyre at 40 miles an hour, not realising it had a flat tyre. Not amongst my smartest things I've ever done. I freely admit that. I have done more sensible. So I was worried. It's like, oh crap, have I got a puncture on this? And if I did have a puncture, I had a puncture. There's not anything I can do about that. What is it? This is a 60 mile an hour road. We've got people who barely go above 40. It's like they're looking for a turning or something. I might dive down a side road instead and go exploring. I pumped up all my tyres. None of them were losing pressure. pumped them all up, because I tend to, because Sarah and I, being the weight we are, I tend to pump my car tyres up to the weight as if it was the car was fully loaded. Now some people, that's not very efficient, but if I'm being honest, look, I'm not being vulgar, horrible, what have you. They were looking for that. But you know, we'll go down there. Chadacre. I've heard things. Pumped them all up, the pressure remained. I thought, okay, tyre pressure will stay. Tyre pressure thing will go off. It didn't go off. I thought, oh, sometimes with the Swace, I need to drive, when it happened in the Swace, I had to drive about a mile before the thing went off. It's almost like the car had to get up to temperature and be like, oh yeah. It didn't. Now, when we were driving back, because it's by Cambridge, there was what appeared to be tons of smoke pouring from the A11, which is what you would take. You would come off the A14, go on the A11, that would be your way back to Thetford by 5 ways roundabout, and then up the A11 by Elwood to Thetford. I saw the smoke and I thought, you know what, I am not chancing that. I'm not being stuck in traffic for God knows how long. So we thought, well, take the A14. It's nearly the same. Nearly the same mileage back. Plus, I'd forgotten some stuff I'd got for dessert. So we went home, checked the tyres, and it turned out I needed to reset the pressure gauge on the car computer, which was a bit mad having to do that, to be honest. It just didn't sit right. What are all these people doing that? Is this for the Palm Sunday? Shit, it's Good Friday, isn't it? That's why it's Good Friday. Yeah, that's why they've got the dude being Jesus with the cross. Everyone's watching for him to walk by. No comment on religion. Yes, I know I dishonoured everyone by the speed limiter not holding me back. So yeah, I had to reset the tyre pressure monitor, and then I had to do it again. Now, since I did it the second time, it hasn't failed me since. But it is less than ideal, and I feel a little more that I'm having to constantly check my tyre pressure gauge just to make sure that I'm not missing a warning. So that's been a bit of a bother. Also on this Honda, my car has been keyed the length of it down the passenger side, and I'm conflicted, because on the one hand I am pissed off, because it's not a little scratch, it's from front to back it's been keyed. Granted, there are worse ways it could have been keyed, it could have been even worse than what it is, and the other problem is, I don't know, well, I say keyed, it's got a scratch. Did I say it had a scratch at some point, implying it might just be a scratch? Don't know. Frankly, I don't know. Could be keyed, could just be a scratch. However, it's a long length of the car, and the problem I've got is I don't know where it's happened. I've checked the dash cam footage. There's nothing. Could have been a delivery driver accidentally getting it, but I'd have thought that if they were under that much pressure, I'll go this way. I would have thought if they're under that much pressure, that it would have been a big scratch of its delivery driver. The other thing that could well be is because the main road, the A134 out of Great Wellneatham, has been closed over many weekends. I have had to take the long way out of Great Wellneatham, or a longer way out. Now, not the full official diversion, mind you. And some people say, well, of course that's why you've damaged it, if it was me that's damaged it, because it could also have been me doing it, who's done it. I could have damaged it by taking a corner on that shortcut. I could have caught a plant, twig. I'd like to think I'd have noticed if I did, but it's possible. Could have just as easily been someone trying to sidle by where I potentially not parked it as well as I could have done. This is a problemento. Can you get by me is the question. Only just made that passing point work. So who knows now? What the reason why I might have caught it is some people, well, you're driving. How on earth have you done that? Because of the route I've been taking out of Great Wellneatham, if you followed the official diversion set up by Suffolk Highways, it's a one-way 43-mile diversion. Was it 42? Either way, no, 42. Because I'd have been doing 84 miles just to go into Bury St Edmunds for something if I followed the full official diversion. I take a slightly different way out, which means I go through a lot of small villages, which means small roads like this. And it's also possible that I've had to do a late and last minute dive out the way because someone just ploughed down the middle of the road. And that has done several times, as some people just come down the middle of the road, whether that's both hands like this, driving like that, or doing your Fast and Furious pose like an absolute wank pot. Give him a bit more room. This is a cyclist, but I don't know what the wind's like, so he might get blown. But some people don't know how to. Now, don't get me wrong, some of these passing points in these roads, regardless of whether it's the higher volume of traffic that's caused it because of the road closure or not, some of the passing points they're just basically, when it's dry it's dirt, and when it's wet it's mud. Putted, rutted. Hit it too fast in any other car other than a Land Rover, and you are going to probably be paying for it. And if you hit it in a Land Rover, then you will probably also still be paying for it. But a lot of people aren't planning ahead. Now, some of this is why I've come on some of these back roads, because even though taking those back roads I've gotten a lot better at planning and looking ahead, my natural instinct on these roads, apart from when it's on the 60-mile-an-hour parts of the road, that is like, yay, twisty road, country lane, and then drop a gear and disappear, which I like, and it's hard to not admit that that's my default setting, which may well be some of the problem. Is a lot of other people have gone, yeah, power down, power through, and away we go sort of situation. But it's also just trying to plan ahead. No, it's just crossroads. Farm shop. Yeah, you can tell I'm nearly 35, that sort of thing gets that sort of response out of me. One thing you do also find as well on these side roads. Oh, whoa! Whoa! It's a blast from the past, those old Rovers. And it's not just one of them, it's like 4 or 5 of them. It's a Rover 216, I think. Could be wrong, but 4 or 5 Rovers in one place. Blast from the past. Reminded me of the same car my German teacher, Mr. Jones, drove, which in the rare off chance that Mr. Jones actually is watching, das kommt davon. And for anyone who doesn't speak German, that, if I remembered it correctly, is it depends. Because that was my response for one entire German lesson. He was actually quite a fun teacher, and I didn't get told off for it. Maybe internally he was annoyed. I don't know if he was. He did have the good grace not to show it, but I suppose it was also a case of the fact that I'd actually gone and looked it up and got it all correct. But what you find on some of these side roads, when you've got these passing points, you'll see these like little bays. For people who don't live who watch these, who may not live in England, on some of these side roads, they're not 2 cars wide. They're maybe 1.5 cars wide, maybe even just about 1 car wide, maybe like sort of Ford Transit. You might be able to get 2 Ford Focuses side by side, just barely. Or if you got them side by side, you'd be scraping each other's paint off. So then there's these big bits in the side of the road. Well, that's someone's driveway, but it's probably that sort of size, which act as passing points. So you wait, if you see a car coming, you wait, let them come, and then you go. And I'm pretty sure most countries in the world have something like it. Yes, I'm aware I've dishonoured my family again. Thank you, Mulder. But some people, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not belittling people trying to get out for a nice walk in the English countryside, because I will say, if you know where to go in England, you don't ever need to leave. Why go abroad to look at the sights when we've got plenty here? That's the Webstead. Wow, lovely house. So I'm not going to belittle people going out for a walk, but some people will use the passing places as parking spaces, which isn't what they're there for. They aren't there to facilitate you parking up and going for your walk. I don't know if I've actually passed the national speed limit signs. I do want to. Closing in fast on me. Despite it being a 30 still. There is the national speed limit sign there. But if you're going to go for a walk in the English countryside, you need to don't if you see these little gaps on the side of the road, don't park in them. That is for people, that is for passing places, farm vehicles, large vehicles, just normal people to pass and allow traffic to keep flowing. My sister sent me a picture once in our WhatsApp group where she and her husband were out for a walk somewhere, and loads of people were using the passing places as parking spots. And don't get me wrong, the weather where they were, somewhere up in the Lake District, I think, was bloody lovely. And who wouldn't want to go out for a walk on a lovely day like that? But then, because people couldn't pass, people were having to reverse, not a few feet, people were reversing hundreds of yards to allow traffic to pass, because they couldn't any other way. And it was just batshit, really, is the best way to put it. Gentleman there with his lawnmower, they are the best on Mountfield. So yeah, it's doing these large diversions. That might be where I've done my scratch, bringing it round. So I need to get some T-cut on it or something, see if that covers it up. My mum and dad did have some blue polish they thought might work, but the Volvo in question it was for was quite a few shades darker than this car. It was more like a royal blue than whatever this Honda blue is. That you would describe it as. You know what? I've gone exploring. I've gone round and round in the circle. I think I'll bring myself back nearly home fairly fast. It's like I say, it's annoying. I'd be more annoyed if it was the black car, but that was more because on the Swace, if I'd done that to the Swace, I'd have been so cross if it had happened to the Swace, and not just because a little bit of me cares about that car more. I've spent a lot of money on that Swace on simple things I shouldn't have had to spend out on, like. Even though the bumper was my fault, that was 800 odd quid on the bumper. Then it was 15 quid on the rear towing eye cover because someone stole it. Oh shit! This road's gonna go narrow. I was down here the other day and it was not the greatest. That line isn't even down the middle. I'd have been more annoyed if it happened to the Swace because I've spent so much money on it, and I'm not averse to spending money on a car if I have to. I just don't want to spend any more on bodywork. Essentially, I don't want this to happen at any time to me or Sarah. But the next time I have to spend out on bodywork, I want it because it's been shunted. And not because of stupidity. So, being the consummate professional that I am, as the previous title card said, the camera ran out of battery. Well, no, it didn't say that. It said I did remember to charge it, which I didn't. It had two bars of battery out of 3, and I thought it might go on, but it also took me a little longer to wind my way through town, and I thought it was going to, because I was going to take the Honda. I took the Honda on a bit of an extended jaunt, as in I took it up, because it'd been on a bit, I thought, let's run it at A14 speed, try and get up to 70 miles an hour for a few minutes, and then make our way home. But there we are. Anyway, it's now later in the day, it's cooled off a bit, got myself a nice Diet Coke. So as the camera cut off, quite nicely in many accidental ways, I'm more annoyed that the blue Honda's been scratched than the black Suzuki because of the amount of money I've put into the Suzuki. One other thing I've noticed recently, just talking generally about driving, is a lot of people have got no patience, and it's not just me, it's sort of quite a lot of people on Reddit seem to have said the same thing. I've actually gotten quite into Reddit, particularly the Scenes from a Hat subreddit, rather fun. Since COVID, people have no patience, and I think I've touched on this in a previous Swacecast, maybe even been the second or third one, from memory. People have got no patience anymore. They'll push you along, they'll speed, they'll drive along one-handed or just clearly distracted, whether that's by their phone or car's infotainment system. It's ridiculous, really, how people drive. So I'm just going to square this around because I've just realised I'm sort of half out of frame. Well, not half out of frame, I'm sort of having to lean more than I'd like. But we'll see. We're getting Izzy down. Izzy! Nah, she's probably gone to sleep upstairs. But people got no patience, or like, people don't leave a gap when you're queuing. So the way you're taught to learn to drive in the UK at the moment, and it was when I was learning 10 years ago, when I was did my last lot of learning, when I finally passed, you need to be able to see the tyres and tarmac is what you need to be able to see to the car in front. Tyres and tarmac. Or when I was beginning to learn to drive and showing an interest in that's what I'd like to do, Dad said the way he was taught, you need to be able to get it's got to be a space the size of an original Mini, which is probably tyres and tarmac, more or less. You'll be able to get that space, leave that gap, and people don't. There's just a general lack of patience these days, which it does my nut in, and speeding does my head in. I do occasionally speed because the speed limiter on my car hasn't kicked in. It's a weird electronic throttle on that Honda where it doesn't, the speed limiter and the throttle don't seem to communicate very well with each other, but the Swace it does. Now it might be because they're two slightly different types of CVT gearbox. It might be the Swace is hybrid and the electric kicks in and then it stops it moving, stops the petrol engine continuing to rev. It might just be that the Honda software is not as good as the Toyota software that Suzuki runs. I don't know, but as has happened in the drive along bit, there's a few times where the car's beeped at me because it's breached the speed. The Swace doesn't slam the brakes on, but because of its regenerative braking, it brings itself down to the right speed faster. The Honda, because it's trying to eke out as many miles per gallon, and it's particularly bad for this when it's running in eco mode, it just lifts, and when you lift off to try and let it slow, it coasts for so long. It doesn't change down to engine brake or anything like that, which is a bit annoying. But that's the only time I ever speed, and we're talking 1 or 2 miles an hour, i.e. a little faster than what the Speedo says, or rather my speed limiter says, should I say. I don't get it. It's the easiest way to get caught is by breaking the speed limit, and sometimes just being so blasé about it is also the problem. There are some people I think some people make it obvious the way they hustle a car along. There are two different ways to hustle a car. There's the one where when you hustle a car and the car is not bothered. That's a classy way to do it. And yes, I know some people say, well, you know, you need a proper sports car for that, or a well-tuned car. And yes, typically that does favour those. But even if a well-honed and well-tuned car is hustled in a manner it doesn't appreciate, it too will show it's bothered. And sometimes some of these cars that zoom up behind you, they're clearly... It's almost like... The way I can only describe it, and I think it's the way Sarah described it, sometimes the car behind you is clearly on Red Bull. So twitch, it's impatient. Like, ah! It's mind-boggling. It really is. And like I say, COVID seems to be the trigger for all this. And I think it's because during COVID, so many things had to move to online and more instant gratifications in faster ways of doing things. So people have got no patience anymore. People's attention spans have noticeably dropped from lockdown because of TikTok and similar social media. I found my attention span recently has drastically dropped because I watched a couple of YouTube shorts a little while ago, well actually quite a while ago, and I keep getting similar things, so I keep watching them, and I feel like since, no matter how hard I try not to watch them, I feel like my attention span is getting less and less, and I want that dopamine hit of the scroll, the like, what have you. But I haven't let it impact my driving. Some people have called me aggressive at times when I drive, but I don't speed. Sometimes the fun is getting up to speed, because you're only going to be... There's some places on roads around here particularly on the way to Hadley when I used to do it every day in the Baleno, or most days in the Baleno. There's one stretch of road that it's got quite a few sharp bends in it, and in the Baleno you're basically going between second, third, and fourth the whole way, and all you're doing is just managing. In the Baleno, with how wide second and third gear are, really those are all the only gears you want. You only put it in the fourth to stop the car revving too much. But you don't get faster than 60 because you're only getting to about 55 into fourth fourth in a Baleno, that is, before you then have to start shifting back down and on the brakes again. There's no point and like I said, once you're up to there's no point in speeding up to 70, 80 on a single carriageway, because that's breaking the speed limit quite blatantly. And I'll admit, I'm not even sure my reaction time in something like that, under normal circumstances, driving, say, my Honda or my Swace, I'm not sure my reaction time would be fast enough. If I had a supercar or proper sports car, then it might be, because I'd be a little bit more on edge and more focused. But under normal circumstances, I don't think I could stop it if something went wrong in those situations. And people don't let you park. They'll push you along when you've found a space you want. They won't let you reverse in, which drives me nuts, because they'll let you reverse out. I don't know, I think I've just had enough of people's selfishness when it comes to the road. And like or people like my brother-in-law. Now, I don't want to speak badly of him because he's a really nice guy, but he doesn't speed in the sense of when I was following him back from somewhere my sister, my nephew and brother-in-law met Sarah and myself and my brother at, but he was clearly going faster than the speed limit because of the way he kept slowly pulling away from me. And the fact at a point I was really ragging the Honda. It's not the first time I've had to rag a car of mine to keep up with him. I don't know why he does. We're on this nice country estate, and the way in, it's about 10-15 miles an hour at most. The way his car was bouncing, he was clearly going too fast up this stretch of road. And my worry is at times that if he ever ends up in an accident, it's going to be a big one that he won't come back from very, very easily, physically or mentally. I'm not coming at it from the "you're breaking the law" perspective. I'm coming at it from the save yourself approach. I don't know, it's just, I know I've wandered off topic quite a bit, but it's just, I just find it infuriating. Is probably the best way to put it. I find it infuriating the way people blatantly break the speed limit, the way people blatantly bully people the way they drive, the number of dash cam channels. Yes, I know a lot of videos do get reposted, but also the number of unique videos on there, and the way people drive, even if the video is a couple of years old. A 10-minute video can sometimes have as many as 10 or 15 clips, and if whoever puts those videos out does it daily, that is a lot of aggression, a lot of poor driving, even if the poor driving is on the part of the person with the dash cam. I'm by no means a perfect driver. By no means at all. But it boggles my mind that some people are loud behind the wheel, drive like an absolute bully, and yet it's my insurance that goes up, not theirs. But there we are. Anyway, I think I'll finish this Swacecast off here, because I can't remember fully what I talked about in the other bit, so I can't repeat it all because it was just a bit off script. Well, I don't have a script when I do these. I didn't even have a list of ideas that I wanted to go through. I just sort of started driving, basically. But there we are. Hopefully you've seen the video where I've reviewed the Handley device. Certainly worth a look if you've got any elderly relatives or know people who've got a few mobility problems, whether that's temporary or permanent condition, where that might be of use. But as I've mentioned, it would probably, if you've got something as low as like my Civic, probably not the best item. It's just one of those things where if you've got a low car, you've got a low car. No ifs, no buts, no coconuts. But give that video a watch. Like the Facebook page if you like our content, or I keep saying our. Russ is long gone. It's just been me for. I think Russ has been gone 3 years now. Lord, how's time flies. Actually, there was something else I did talk about. I did mention, I think it was in the first Swacecast of the year, where about George, my tomcat, being put down on Christmas Eve. And what I find baffling, and not in a oh you stupid, it's like I could be on this planet for a million years and I'm not sure I would ever quite understand. And people who've not had a pet, I won't just limit it to a cat, but people who've not had a pet may not fully understand this. I didn't have George, he was 8.5 when he was put down. I hadn't had him 2 years from when we adopted him from the family that emigrated to Australia. And I thought I was getting over it. When I did the video in January, I was still bursting into tears quite a lot over the fact he's gone. And I thought I was doing a lot better. But it's weird how grief keeps coming back on you at times. Because, like I say, I thought I was over it. I thought I was doing better. I thought I was moving forwards. And Izzy, she's become a bit more friendly. She'll sit on my knee a bit more. She'll come in the bedroom and meow at us overnight. Not as much as she used to, which is good. So she's clearly getting used to, well, I think she's getting used to being on her own. She's not so far gone off her food, a biscuits, a drink. So far, no litter tray mishaps. She's got an additional calming collar on if she appears in any video. She's currently wearing 2 because we've made a lot of changes around the house. And cats in general don't like change, but because of her nervous nature, we put an extra calming collar on just to try and ease her mood, shall we say. But the last few days, I've just really missed George. This last couple of weeks, sort of all come back again in many ways, which it happens, regardless of whether you're talking about a pet or a family member that's gone. But I didn't think it would be such a step backwards. But I think what's made it worse is Sarah's been working nights the last 3 nights. And normally George and I had our routine where when Sarah's working nights, cats would get fed about 9:20. I would then go upstairs, have a shower, shave and what have you, get ready for bed. I'd be in bed by about 10. Sometimes George would be waiting on the landing, sometimes he would wait at the bottom stairs and wait to be called up, and then he'd hop up the stairs with a sort of noise as he ran up. Then he would hop on the bed, walk around in circles until I was ready to get into bed, and then I'd get in the bed, and then he would be right up on my chest. Make loads of biscuits. Sometimes I think his record was about 3-4 minutes of just constant biscuit making, and then he'd sit down. I'd listen to some music on my phone as I was just chilling, because I probably had listened to some music in the shower. He seemed to really like Smoke on the Water, but the version that was done for Rock Armenia, as in he seemed to make more biscuits, puddings, whatever you wish to call them. But yeah, he seemed to make more when that used to play. Then when I was sort of ready to go to sleep, he'd sort of move a little bit so I could reach my phone charger, put that on charge, and then when I'd sort of indicate to him, George, it's time for me to go, bud, time for me to sleep, and I'd sort of turn on my side because I'm a side sleeper, and then he would either sort of do a log roll, so he'd sort of sidestep, and then settle down again when I'd sort of positioned myself, or he'd hop off, wait for me to settle on my side, then you get back on my shoulder, and then repeat the biscuits and falling asleep, and then I'd often wake up with him on my shoulder as well. Which, when I know Sarah's night shifts are quote unquote only 12 hours, but sometimes, especially when she's in charge on the night, she's gone from 25 past 6:30. Well, actually, sometimes even earlier. If I've had to drop her off at work, sometimes she's at work before 6:30, especially if they've been short-staffed. And then if it's been a bad night, sometimes she's not out of work until nearly 8 o'clock in the morning. And I know I'm asleep for quite a bit of that, but George and I had our little routine, and I miss it when he missed it recently when she's done the nights. I think that's what's got me down again, is she's been doing nights and I haven't quite got used to not having our routine when she's on the nights. So still miss that little cat, affectionate little boy. Anyway, sorry to bring the tone down. Anyway, have a good Easter weekend. I do plan to put this out over the Easter weekend as well, so this has all been recorded on Good Friday. Drive safe, look after yourselves, and we'll see you next time, whatever video that may be.